You know that feeling, right? That deep frustration with your cable and internet provider where you just feel like you have no other choice? Well, it often comes down to a contract your town signed, maybe even decades ago. Today, we're going to look at the hidden power that's locked inside that very document. It's so easy to feel powerless against a cable giant. But what if I told you your town has been holding a trump card this whole time and just didn't know how to play it? What if that whole feeling of being stuck is based on a huge misunderstanding of where the power really lies? This quote from A Guide for New York Municipalities just completely flips the script. It says that this widespread belief that towns are helpless is, well, it's just a myth. And today, we're going to dig into exactly why that is. So let's give this idea a name. We'll call it the powerless town myth. It's a story that's been told for so long by so many people that it's just kind of accepted as fact. But you know what? It's a story that is actively holding communities back from getting better service and better accountability. The core of this myth is the idea that federal law has totally tied the hands of local governments, that it's forced them into a corner where they just have to accept whatever standardized, long-term contract a provider slides across the table. It paints this picture of a fight you just can't win. But that is not the whole story, not even close. Okay, to see why this is a myth, we need to untangle the legal knots and look at what the law actually says. And this isn't about finding some obscure loophole. It's about understanding the power that was always meant to be in the hands of our local governments. Think of it this way. Your town owns the streets, right? A private company can't just come in and start digging them up for its own business without getting permission first. That permission is called a franchise, and it is a really powerful tool for your local government to manage public assets. It's not a rubber stamp. So yeah, federal law does set some clear boundaries, like capping how much towns can charge in franchise fees. But look at what it explicitly preserves. Your town's fundamental rights, the right to control its own public property, the power to negotiate the terms of a franchise deal, and full authority over the renewal process itself. That's a lot of power. And hey, for anyone in New York, this part is critical. Unlike a lot of other states, New York has kept this power at the local level. Your town board, your village council, they are still the ones in the driver's seat when it comes to these agreements. But let's be real, this isn't just about old school cable TV anymore, is it? These exact same agreements have a surprising and really powerful influence over the broadband internet service you and I rely on every single day. Now, that seems like a contradiction, doesn't it? If the franchise is legally just for cable television, how in the world can it touch your broadband? Well, the answer isn't in the service itself, it's in the wires. A franchise gives your town authority over the physical network, the actual cables, poles, and conduits that run through public land. And in most communities, that very same network that's delivering your cable TV is the exact same one that brings high-speed broadband internet into your home. So while your town can't tell the provider what to charge for internet, it can use the franchise agreement to make sure the company that owns those wires keeps them in good repair. It can hold them accountable for the whole system's performance. And that is a powerful, indirect way to make sure everyone gets the reliable service they're paying for. Okay, so how can a town actually translate this authority into real-world results? Well, it doesn't come from making loud threats during a negotiation. It comes from the steady, consistent, day-to-day work of local governance. This right here? This is the playbook for municipal power. It's about controlling the process by managing permits, controlling the timing by setting the renewal schedule, demanding transparency with public meetings, and, maybe most critically, keeping a meticulous record of every single service failure. This one idea just sums up the whole strategy perfectly. Real power isn't built by shouting during one negotiation. It's built slowly, month by month, on a solid foundation of facts and documentation. A single complaint is just an anecdote. 1,000 documented complaints? Now that's evidence. This brings us to the final and maybe the most crucial piece of this whole puzzle. It's not enough to just have this leverage. A town has to know how to use it effectively, and that means choosing a deliberate strategy over a messy confrontation. The most effective towns don't see this as a fight to be won. They see it as a long-term partnership that needs to be managed for the public good. That simple shift in mindset can completely change the entire dynamic of a negotiation. Oh, and here's another myth that just needs to go away. Cable companies often push for these super long 15-year contracts, and they present them like they're standard and unavoidable. But there is no law, none, that says a town has to agree to that. The length of the contract is a critical and totally negotiable choice. And there are so many smarter options on the table. You could have shorter terms that let you adapt to new technology. You could build in midterm reviews that create accountability checkpoints. You could even have conditional extensions that actually reward a company for good performance. These are all powerful tools a town can use. So what does the game plan look like in practice? It's pretty straightforward, but it does require discipline. First, you prepare. You do your homework. Second, you structure the negotiation formally with everything in writing. Third, you document every single step in the public record. And finally, you execute that process consistently. At the end of the day, it's not about who shouts the loudest. It's about who has the best strategy. And a well-prepared town armed with the facts and a clear process is always, always going to have the upper hand. So what's the bottom line here? It's that your town has way more power than you think. That power comes from process and preparation. And using that power wisely can lead to better service and way more accountability for everyone. This is fundamentally about taking care of a public asset. We'll leave you with this question. Is your town using this powerful tool to its full potential? It might be time to find out. Thanks so much for joining us.